Well, the openly socialist Marxist magazine Monthly Review just had a conference last month. Guess who spoke there? He was fine with communists and communism. He still has a burning hatred for the United States of America. The one, the only, Jeremiah Wright returns to the scene.
This magazine unflinchingly has tackled the tough issues from McCarthyism to militarism, from the Chinese Revolution through the Ghanaian Revolution to the Cuban Revolution, from the lies told by United States presidents to the lies told by the United States media. We celebrate tonight 6 decades of dedicated service.
Dedicated service of a socialist Marxist magazine, Monthly Review. So the magazine covered the Cuban Revolution, which he said nothing bad about, or any other revolution he mentioned, but the U.S. and its media. Lies, nothing but lies. Now, maybe this doesn't mean anything. Maybe I'm just too sensitive. Maybe I just haven't gotten over the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, but it never was about Jeremiah Wright. Really, it was about Barack Obama sitting in the pew for 20 years. What does the man believe? Surely there was nothing else controversial that night just over a month ago with Jeremiah Wright.
You stayed up front that your starting point is, quote, no-nonsense Marxism, unquote. But you dispel all the negative images we have been programmed to conjure up with just the mention of that word socialism or Marxism.
Yeah. You'd hate to do that. Thank goodness for somebody dispelling the awful stereotypes of Marxism, that we have in this country. I mean, gee, look at the fruits of Marxism and socialism. Well, wait, before I get into that, let's hear some more about the splendor of Marxism and just how bad America really is.
Grateful for the opportunity to bring you a word of thanksgiving from those who don't ordinarily get a hearing unless they go along with the program, sing in tune with whatever is the popular tune, and stay in lockstep with the political pundits who tell us what is politically correct, what is permissible, and what will be tolerated from a person of color in this land, the land of the greed and the home of the brave. Excuse me, the land of the greed and home of the slave.
The land of the greed and home of the slave. Here is the man who married Barack Obama to the First Lady Michelle Obama, baptized their children. Here is the man that Obama listened to for 20 years over and over and over again, and it is not a problem.
To the people, my work with liberation theology, with Latin American theologians, with the Black Theology Project, and with the Cuban Council of Churches taught me 30 years ago the importance of Marx and the Marxist analysis of the social realities of the vulnerable and the oppressed who were trying desperately to break free of the political economies undergirded by this country that were choking them and cutting off any hope of a possible future where all of the people would benefit. My exposure to the FMLN in El Salvador, the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, and my presence at the 15th Jamahiriya in Libya taught me what I have read in the pages of the Monthly Review, which is, as Joshua Stanton says, though we need not always agree with one another, we must do the work necessary to at least understand one another.
Yes, we do. And see, that's why we don't force you to leave this country. We don't erase opposing viewpoints like Venezuela does. He claims that Marxism is a system, quoting, where all of the people would benefit. Where is that utopia, sir? Where is the Marxist model of success? Where is it? Where all of the people are thriving equally. We have tried to educate the young people in this country about the real fruits of Karl Marx labor, death and oppression. From Lenin to Stalin to Chairman Mao to Pol Pot, they starved, they murdered millions of their own people, they stole liberty, they crushed freedom. In order to have one thing, not equality, but control. They spied on their people. They denied free speech and the people's right to worship as they choose. This supposed reverend applauds this system and gave it over and over again every Sunday to the Obamas, and they sat and soak it in, and he is so unafraid to speak it out just last month again. Ever since Jeremiah Wright has come into the limelight, is anyone under the impression that the communists were peaceful? That communists are an unarmed bunch of flower children? Ask the Czechs. Ask the Poles, the Hungarians, about the tender mercies of the Soviet sweetness. You might want to check with Georgia, a former ally of ours, that are struggling with everything they've got. How about Latvia, the Ukraine, the Baltics, the Yugoslavs, all of Eastern Europe? Oh, and let's not forget Afghanistan, and the South Koreans might have something to add to that, as well as the South Vietnamese. Oh, no, I forgot. The communist North politely invaded and wiped out the South. Never mind. Jeremiah Wright tries to wrap Marxism up in a blanket of love and concern for the poor. The only concern he has for the poor is to make sure that everyone is equally poor, except for the ruling elite. What kind of twisted, freakish perversion of the scriptures convinces people to believe that forced redistribution of other people's money is charitable? Giving is charitable. Taking is a commandment. Don't steal. Look, here are a few other things that we know. We know that Barack Obama was mentored by a communist, Frank Marshall Davis. We know that in his own words that he preferred the company of a Marxist professor in college and Marxist professors in college. We know that he thinks when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everyone. We know that that is one of the main tenets of Marxism. We know that he hired Van Jones, a revolutionary communist radical. We know that he hired Ron Bloom, a manufacturing czar that kind of agrees with Mao and believes that the free market system is nonsense. We know that he hired Anita Dunn, and that Chairman Mao is one of the two people she turns to most. We know he hired Mark Lloyd, someone who believes our freedom of speech rights are exaggerated, quote unquote, and that Hugo Chavez, the revolution in Venezuela, was, quote, really incredible, end quote. We know that he appointed Carol Browner to the cabinet, a member of the International Socialist Organization. We know that he hired John Holdren, who believes in redistribution of America's wealth, and we know that this administration is eager to sign a climate change treaty in Copenhagen with the UN that will redistribute our wealth to third world nations. Now maybe that I've done the math wrong. I forgot to carry the one. I don't know how many more pieces of evidence you need. Maybe it doesn't add up to anything. Maybe the laws of physics just don't apply to our savior and Lord in the White House, Barack Obama. Maybe magic fairies will sprinkle social justice down on all of us like pixie dust, and it will be a wonderful, wonderful world where there'll be no bloodshed and all of the animals will talk like they did in Disney movies. Maybe. I don't see it happening. But there's one thing I do know. We must ask the one question. We must focus on this one question. Does it matter that there are anti-capitalist, socialist, Marxist radicals in the executive branch of the United States government? We need to decide. For 2 years, people looked at the Jeremiah Wright story. He's just a crazy preacher. No, he is a Marxist, now an admitted Marxist, now with the audio from a month ago, extolling the virtues of a socialist revolutionary magazine who has ties to the administration. I bring this up because I don't expect a single person to change their mind on Jeremiah Wright and think now, oh, he matters. It is jaw-droppingly shocking to me every day that there are those among us that just cannot see, they can't see the perfect storm that is about to unleash its fury on us. There are those that are going to tell you that it's all blue sky and sunshine. I tell you, there's a lot of work to be done. I tell you that we are going to make it, but I don't want you to doubt for a second that the hammering you have to do and the hammering that you will take in the coming months, I don't want you to lose sight that all of that is right. It is time to build an ark because the rain is coming.